How's it? Today's episode of the Photographic Eye is very proudly brought to you by Pick Drop, and more about them later on. When I was a student, we had to spend the entire first year, photographing exclusively in black and white. And that changed so much about my thoughts on photography, and it laid the foundations for everything that has followed. And I want to share those with you in the hope that you're going to get also some insights and benefits of that year of exclusive monochrome. Yeah, so we turn up first year of photo school and they go, hey, do you know what you're going to do? For the rest of this year, you are going to photograph exclusively in black and white. Right? No more color for you. It's all about black and white. And I was like, this is awesome, because I had never photographed in black and white up until that point. You know, I was young, right? We didn't have a darkroom at home. And I was like, yeah, let's go, man. Let's do this. We loaded up our cameras and they said, go off and just photograph some things. Come back and we'll develop the images. Did that. And I was all like, oh, look at this. This is so cool. Opening up the cans, looking at the film. Go to print one, and it's like it's developing in the tray under the safe light. And then it's like, oh, this is a very grey picture. I haven't made an Ansel Adams masterpiece. I have made a wonderful shades of grey. So I was a little bit disillusioned with photography, and if I'd been left to my own devices, that would have been it. Of course, that wasn't it, right? Because we had lecturers there, they were going to teach us this kind of stuff. And part of the whole process of photographing for a year in black and white is that naturally you improve. I learned about the zone system. I learned how to develop images properly. I learned how to print them properly, right? And I grew, and I got better at handling black and white. But that's not what was really changing. What was really changing was the fact that black and white was forcing me to approach photography completely different from how I had previously as an exclusive color photographer. And the first bit of that was that all of a sudden I felt like a real photographer. This seems like a really weird thing to say, because so many people are like, oh, well, why would you photograph in color? It's so archaic. I'm sorry, why would you photograph in black and white? It's archaic. It's backwards. We have color, and there's so much kind of cool stuff you can do with color. But I think that was the thing. I looked at modern photographers, and they photographed in color. Then I looked at historical people who were being introduced to, Paul Strand, Ansel Adams, Imogen Cunningham, all these kind of people. And I went, and I fell into that trap, as one does when one is feeling a little bit pretentious, is that black and white photography is real photography. This is what we do. We're all hands-on. We're not letting somebody else just process our stuff. And as painful as that kind of personality can be, it was good for me, because it was making me invest the time. I was like, it suited my ego. It was like, bigging me up. And I connected with photography in a new way. So I found an excitement, and that excitement gave me the momentum to start learning other things that have stood me in good stead. And the first one had to do with my eyes. I often talk about how black and white photography is obviously different to what we see around us from day to day, because we see color, and black and white is quite clearly not color, right? But that was one of the things that we had to learn. We had a little piece of kit. It was called a Raton 90 filter. It was a little slide in some cardboard that had an orange look to it, and you just flip in front of your eyes, and it stripped the color away, and it gave, if memory serves, like it just broke it down into luminance. So you got an idea about highlights and shadows. And that, at the time, was a complete revelation for me, because I had only just seen the world as color. I'm obviously aware that black and white existed, but I wasn't aware how to actually use it. And taking that step towards seeing what isn't actually there, obviously in front of us, I feel has been one of the greatest changes, the most profound changes in my photography over the last 30 years, because it's allowed me to take photographs wherever I am. They're just, they're hiding there, and we can then find them. But it's not enough to just find photographs. They have to feel something. They have to feel right. Right. Does this picture feel right? I think that's kind of like one of the most difficult questions to ask of our photographs. And it's interesting when I put lots of people's work together, that this idea of what feels right becomes a little bit more crystallized. And within the newsletters on the TPE newsletter server, I do ask every week for people to upload some pictures to a pic drop folder, who are, as I mentioned, the awesome sponsors of the video. And in there, I have the ability to have all of their photographs side by side, and we can look at them and organize them into little groups to check out what's actually working. And in the black and white section, I can make the picture larger, I can move it around, I can make little annotations on it, and get a feel for what feels right for other people, to help them on their way, and make some suggestions. That's one of the great benefits of pic drop, is that if you are involved in a camera club, or if you're trying to swap notes or encourage each other in your photography, you can upload some pictures in there and go back and forth, have a discussion about it. So if you're interested in checking out pic drop, there is a link in the description box below. As I said, I've been using them for years now. Fantastic. We use them a lot in the TPE tribe as well. So yeah, do go check them out. And they support the channel, so that's always a good thing. There was a really big aspect to photographing in black and white that wasn't immediately apparent to me at the time, but in retrospect, I feel was extremely important. And that is a sense of clarity. Because we were obviously a group of students, all working in black and white, all doing the same assignments, we weren't necessarily trying to outcompete each other. In today's social media kind of driven likes, yeah, look at me sort of world, there's a natural tendency for us to want to stand out. And when you have a freedom just to do anything, it just becomes a shouting match. But when somebody says to you, go and photograph a banana in black and white, and all your class is doing it's constrictive, but in a good way, because it gets that focus on thing. You're not sitting there going, what can I do? What can I do to outperform everybody else? It's more like, how can I take this banana? How can I make it mine? How can I use the lighting that I have available to me in black and white and do it better than this very small core of people? Is that clarity, is that focus that I think stood me in good stead, because we weren't in a place of like extreme noise and all those kind of influences. It was very simple. It's black and white. It's a certain subject. It's a small core of people that you are friends with, that you want to help them improve, but also you want to be better than them. We don't get that anymore in photography, at least not in a huge sense. And we try and get something going on in little communities, and the TPE tribe kind of, sort of follows into that idea. This 365 days of black and white, all that foundation that we're learning there about the zone system, about how film works, about what's actually going on. It gave me a real deep understanding about the technical aspects of photography, about the chemical aspects of photography, about the visual aspects of photography that I don't think I would have had if I had the freedom, for want of a better word, to go and photograph in a whole bunch of ways. And then in second year, when we got to second year, they said, hey, now you can photograph in color. Go forth. And also process your own color and print your own color. Initially, I was like, oh my God, that's so awesome. Yeah, now we can photograph in color again. And I noticed that over that year, the color images that I took were completely different to the ones that I'd taken before I went to photography school, because my way of seeing, my way of thinking about photography, that focus, the clarity, seeing what's hiding stuff, all of that had been developed, excuse the pun, and it has changed my work for the last 30 odd years. Now, of course, you don't have to go and spend a whole year exclusively photographing black and white, but I do think if you go and put some constraints on yourself, you know, I'm only going to photograph with this lens, or I'm going to just shoot in film, or anything that forces you to have a bit of clarity, that forces you to kind of see beyond the obvious, and to kind of put a restriction around yourself, can only be beneficial because you have to learn to deal with it that way. You have to learn how to get over these humps, how to make things work, as opposed to overthinking very complex photographic solutions to problems that really don't exist. So if you want to experience a pic drop for yourself and uploading some images about black and white that you think are pretty cool, then do so. There is another link in there for a gallery. Go and upload your photographs and we'll have a look at them at a later date. Thank you ever so much for watching, and I will see you again all pretty soon.